What's up, everyone? Josh Collins, Century 21 here. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Today's topic, my 5 tips for listing success. Let's go. Let's face it, people procrastinate. Personally, I think it's normal, human nature, but that might just be because I'm as guilty of this one as the next person in line. Ask my wife. She'll tell you. But there's a reason this one's top of the list. It's crucial. And I often tell clients that buyers behave like there's a number of $20 bills that are hidden throughout your house. And in this case, those $20 bills are your unfinished renovations or repairs. The more they find, the more that dollar value really starts to add up in their heads, whether they realize it or not. But what ends up happening is that can really influence the amount that someone's comfortable giving you in an offer when it comes to that point. The other thing to keep in mind is people tend to inflate or overinflate the amount that renovations will actually cost them. So don't get the short end of that stick. Do whatever you can to finish up your repairs in advance and make your house show as well as it possibly can, and remove those $20 bills. This step is just as important as the first, as it can and often does heavily influence someone's perception of your home, and not just in person. This can also be something that relates to online photos as well, as people are really screening properties online nowadays before they come out and take a look. During showings, though, people often take in the big picture. And if your space is full of clutter and stuff, it can really negatively influence that overall perception. So simply cleaning, decluttering, staging, which is another topic we'll cover in a separate video, they can really enhance your space by making it appear bigger, brighter. They can really enhance your multimedia online, like your photos. And they can also give off the perception that you really do genuinely take care of your property and space, which is a big bonus. As another bonus to that, I often tell people that this is your best bang for buck opportunity to make a difference. In relation or compared to the renovation and repairs, you often don't necessarily need to spend as much money, if really any at all, to clean up your space. So it's a really good bang for buck opportunity to do just that and create an improved overall impression. So this is where you educate yourself on what's happening around you in your area, and you use that knowledge to help set yourself up for success. It goes well beyond simply knowing what the average house is selling for too, by the way. How long does it take the average house to sell? Are you in a buyer or a seller's market? Where are folks coming from these days? How are offers being handled? These are all really important questions that you need to ask, because they not only shape and influence your list price, but they're also going to shape and influence your approach to marketing, how you're going to handle offers. And I'll give you a stat here. In Peterborough alone last year, 38.5% of homes in Peterborough were sold by realtors not from Peterborough. I'll repeat that. 38.5% of homes in Peterborough were sold by realtors not from Peterborough. That's up from 16%. The last time I checked that stat anyway was back in 2019, which was around 16% at that point in time. That's huge, and that's really important. What it tells you is you need to understand where those people are coming from, and even more important to that, how to reach them. So the point of all this is you really need to take the time in advance to gather the pertinent information to help set up your game plan to make sure that you're covering all your bases. Spoiler alert, this is best done with help, and we'll talk about that shortly. You can often tell when that homework step has been skipped, sometimes simply by looking at the list price of a given property. But make no mistake about it, step number 4 is really, really important. And I see compelling reasons why all the time. You remember that saying that you only get one chance to make a first impression? Of course we do. But it applies to listing your property as well, and when it comes to pricing. Now, I will say that pricing strategies are dynamic. They're changing all the time. And the current market we're in has changed a lot of our old traditions and norms. And we'll talk more about pricing and multiple offers in a future video. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get the price right from the get-go. I often hear people say, it's just a list price. We can come down and reduce later if we need to. That may have been true 10 plus years ago, but even then, there were many clear examples showing that people who overlisted by a significant amount often end up paying for it in the end by having to reduce their list price, sometimes multiple times. And it's rare that anything good comes from sitting on the market for weeks or months, especially in a market where houses tend to be selling faster than that time point. And In the end, what you end up with is often a sale price that's less than what you would have normally got had you just have priced it at the right price to begin with. There's that whole concept of the value of money, but also the value of your time and how it fits in with your timeline and your game plan as well. So the point of that is price it for what it's worth, not for what you think it's worth. Now, this one could have easily been number one on this list, but I decided to include it at the end because, at least to me, a good realtor can and will help you with all the steps that we've covered up until this point. Be it a second opinion on things that need attention, getting you in touch with tried, tested, and true contacts to help with various things, especially the homework and the pricing steps that we've already talked about. The knowledge, the experience, the collective value added services that we all provide are invaluable no matter what kind of market you're in. But I often find that, and this is probably the most underappreciated aspect of what we really do and bring to the table, and especially what goes on behind the scenes once your listing is up on the market and arguably even before, is the exposure that we help you gain. This is a bit of a loaded topic as the sources of that exposure are wide and varied, and something that we'll dive deeper into in a future video. But both local and non-local consumer and realtor advertising, far better reach and exposure on public and non-public websites and real estate databases, a firm grasp on social media advertising are some of the key ingredients that go into enhancing that exposure. It all adds up to more eyes on your listing, which has a big impact on the outcome at the end of the day. It's a bit like fishing if you think about it. You throw out a single baited line into a lake or river. Are you going to catch a fish? It's dependent on a number of factors, but sure, it's possible. Now, on the other hand, you take multiple lines and you throw them out in that same lake or river based on knowledge of knowing A, where those fish are, and B, how to effectively bait them. Which option do you think is going to serve you better? Given all the knowledge and the tools that we as realtors have at our disposal and all the exposure that comes with it, I know which option I'd want on my side, and that's where a good realtor comes in.